Sixth person voted out of Survivor 46. Moriah, that's six, that's enough?
Moriah, you were so close to getting that merge buff. It's so hard to see you go out that way. How are you feeling walking away after you were voted out?
I mean, walking away, it was tough, because you see it right there. It's like right there. And yes, you can hear them when they shout, by the way. I think the positive thing for me is it wasn't a blindside. So once they came back and there were 7 people, literal majority over at that table who said, yep, you're just the vote. It was kind of like I could almost start processing and kind of like obviously going around and trying to change the vote, but knowing it's probably not going to happen just because that's just the name that they came up with. So I was at least able to kind of walk away and have that time to prep at camp, say my goodbyes, talk to the people I was close with. And at my tribal, it really freed me to say what I needed to say or whatever I wanted to say, because there's probably no tomorrow for me. So might as well throw whatever I can. I'll let you all in a little secret here. It was not unanimous at the last tribal count. I was the odd out. I didn't get the vote right. I am on the damn bottom, and I do not fit in.
I really appreciated what you said at Tribal and revealing what really happened with that gem vote. At what point did you decide that's something that I need to do? And did you tell anyone that that's what you were going to do? Had you talked about the gem vote before?
Well, I mean, we talked about it a little bit in Siga of like, obviously it was just like, yeah, like we knew that Yanu had a decision to make when it's 5v5, and they can go with Nami or they can go with Siga, because at the end of the day, they're not looking to pick up a stray. They don't care for an alliance of 4. They need to get in with someone. And we're not going to out hot mess the hot mess tribe that is Nami. So we had to bring something else to the table. And our pitch is basically, we're together, we're strong, work with us. We can work on order later, but like we're at least a final 8 over here. Let's do this. Let's steamroll this. And obviously that didn't happen. But my decision to really like come out and say that was that I'm going out guns blazing. I'm going to try everything. I am going to reveal that because, my game got sunk by a table, and you can have fun with that next week, kids,
When you're making that pitch and stating your case, Hunter's coming back saying, oh, well, perception is reality. Like you guys pretended you were this big happy family for so long that it kind of became the reality. Looking back, is there a point where you wish you had revealed how things really were at Siga earlier?
Yeah. So, yep, like I said, it can go either way. And especially knowing that Tim had this relationship with Q, Maria had one with Tevin, just from the journeys. Ben had one with, like, there's so much going on with the journeys and preconceived that I just didn't have the opportunity to do. I'm like, I need this protection. I don't want to seem like easy picking. So had I brought it up earlier, I really don't think it would have made a difference. Like Q had to be in his bonnet for us. They went with a different tribe for a reason. Like I think I am like bottom of 13 here. The other thing is that, I work in politics, I work in government, and votes don't count till you cast them. So, part of Survivor is reacting to the information you have. And if that made enough of an impact to change your game, it could have.
Now, there was one vote for Venus, and that was Charlie's vote. Did that surprise you that Venus's name came up? And did you know who had written her down at the time?
So I was not surprised Venus's name came up. I kind of knew coming back from the feast, again, like they're so secure. It's 7v6. They don't have an idol. Like it's very clear I'm going home. The people were pretty candid with me of like, yeah, like it was between you and V and we're going with you. So I knew that she was the other name in discussion, and it made sense. Like she is bottom of Nami, very clearly so. But I didn't know who threw the hickey vote. I'm not gonna lie. I knew I had asked before my CEOs, I'm like part of my like pitch, and you see me going around scrambling a little bit of like trying to get people of like, who should we vote for? Is that my pitch is like, at least do one on Venus. And this is before we had seen 45, but I knew at least there would be one for Venus, and I wasn't sure who did it. It just sucks to be on the wrong side of not only a vote, but the first vote. And on top of that, a blind side by people you think you can trust.
I want to go back to the very beginning of the episode. You're coming back from the gem vote. You were so tight with Charlie and Maria as the Charlie's Angels. And then suddenly you're left on the wrong side of the vote. What was that conversation like with Charlie and Maria? Because we didn't get to see that. And I'm so curious how they explain that to you.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of see it a little bit in the episode before, actually. It was very intentional that I wanted to paint myself as, listen, like something fishy's going on, but I don't hear my name out and I want to work with you. And I'm grateful because they went with, Tim and Ben, but like just because they had a stronger relationship with Tim and Ben over Jem, the dynamic was that doesn't really speak to they had a stronger relationship with Tim and Ben over me. And so when you see me go to Charlie in the episode before, like, hey, like, like friend to friend, like, I know this is really tough for you. That was kind of laying that groundwork of like, I know something's going on, but like, we still cool. Like, I appreciate it. Like, my name did not come up at all. I was completely protected. And that's a testament to that social game, to that emotional game that I was able to play and able to set up.
Mo is dangerous.
Is she?
I can just tell.
Yeah.
She's like Aubry, geeky, looking in your eyes, dang.
Another big moment in this episode is your conversation with Q. I'm curious about your read on that in the moment. Did you realize that just by dropping Aubry's name as one of your favorite players, that would set off alarm bells in his head?
That was the worst conversation I've ever had in my life. Like, it was immediate. So of like, I said, Aubry, he goes like, oh, and then walked away. It was so bad. So like, I knew immediately, I'm like, this man probably, just like thinking about who he was. He's a very stubborn guy, like very like Ole Miss footballer. Like, he probably doesn't interact with a lot of people like me. And so he's probably making a lot of leaps and a lot of jumps on like who I am as a person. And I'm telling him something that's really feeding into his worst fears of me, is that I am the strategist. I'm this like nerdy girl. That means she's smart. She's thinking. And so when I was talking about Aubry, I was very intentional to talk about her impact on me and not her game, because I didn't want to lie. I'm like, it's so obvious that I like Aubry. I talked to my tribe about it. I didn't want to lie or get caught in a dumb lie like that, but I wanted to frame it in a way that was less about the game and more about the person. And even then it was like ice. It was not good. I walked away. I'm like, like, ugh.
Now, during tribal, Q says when you're talking about the gem vote, oh, like if you had told me this earlier, then maybe things would be different. Do you believe that?
Absolutely not. Like, when it came down to Q and me, he was turned off immediately by something as small as saying my favorite player is this person. Do you think that guy is buying anything I'm saying? Do you think he's investing in me or wanting to work with me? No, he wanted to work with other people on Siga. And I was a really great opportunity for him to get out someone that he didn't really know or want to play with, test him to see if he's willing to let me go or like what his like approach is to that, and still retain his relationship, because by throwing my name out, they know they can he knows he can get rid of me without ruffling feathers over there. So no, I do not think that there's a way for me to do that. Also at tribal, I got fact checked. I said this thing in front of like 12 people, and the first thing that you see is like, is that true? And it's like, no, I just lied in front of 12 people. I'm like, of course it's true,
There were all these like big ideas about, oh, Mariah's going to play the game this way or that way, or she's like this player. But we never really got to see what you truly would have done in a merge situation to like play the game and get to the end. What was your strategy going in? What game would you have hoped to play?
So, honestly, I was really glad that you were at least able to see a little bit of on Siga, is being able to make those individual relationships and leverage them at different times. So I had a very different relationship with Jem than I did with Maria and I did with Charlie. And that's what allowed me to kind of be in Charlie's Angels and be with Jem, but also kind of know my name's not even on the table tonight, and know that there's something fishy, and know that I can kind of wiggle my way back in with Charlie, or like even have Ben. I wrote down Ben's name 24 hours ago and he still didn't throw my name out. It was Tim. So I think that's a really big testament to the game I wanted to play. And moving forward, I wanted to get through Mergatory. Probably best way to do that is to convince Yanu that go with us over at Nami. And then from there, I was ready to flip. I was ready to, you know, work on leveraging new relationships and starting a different chapter of the game in a similar fashion, because that's really what saved my skin on Siga.
Moriah, you are not safe.
Let's say that your shot in the dark did work and you got to go back to that beach. What would have been your first move, and who would you have wanted to build connections with?
I would have gone to Tevin, actually. Tevin and I had a really great bond out there, and you can kind of like see it in the merge episode. Even in the merge, Tevin is like, really? Like, and I think that speaks to kind of his read on me and my read on him. So being able to like cross that Siga to Nami would have been important, especially knowing that they now have Yanu. So Tevin would have been a beeline. Similarly, Hunter, really great connection. Love a good meat shield. And he is the best one out there. So those two had kind of been tops. And then, of course, Venus. I mean, Venus went to bat to me. Well, actually not Venus, because she would have gone home. But in a world in which the Hickey vote is like Charlie or something, then probably Venus, as she survived.
I need to understand why Mo. If it's because she's a super fan alone, you should be scared for the next vote. That's why we should think Charlie.
Have you picked that up from Siga's dynamics?
Yeah, but the boys are super close. Like, why? That's why I'm saying Charlie should be the name, not Mo. It'd be stupid of us to vote out a girl because the three boys say, oh, look at all men went on a feast.
What was it like to watch Venus go to bat for you?
That was actually really nice. But something I did not know until last night's episode is that Venus was so strongly pushing for, you know, not her, which is like, it is just so wild to do that from a position where you're not only vulnerable, but you're the backup. So to see that was really nice to see, actually.
Were there any other moments of strategy or conversations, special things that you'll remember from your Survivor journey that we didn't get to see?
I think that they're just walking into the last tribal, knowing I'm going home is such a gift in Survivor in a weird way, because when you're blindsided, you're out like that. But for me, I was really able to come in and say what I needed to, blow up my tribal. I'm probably going home anyway, so might as well go out on my terms. The only thing I have control over in this entire terrible rock draw of a vote. So I was really able to go that, own it, empower it, and just like the confidence of being able to speak up and being able to do that and having that almost like fiery energy, I think was a very special feeling.
That's so nice. You had a quote in like the credits roll outro interview that I thought was really interesting. You said, in this game, my takeaway is you deserve as much as you believe you do, and that's up for you to determine. So what does that mean to you in the context of your Survivor experience?
So you saw me struggle with it in the beginning, is playing this kind of coy game of like, I'm usually an outsider. Like, how does an outsider become an insider very, very fast? And something that I learned is you got to ask for it. You have to put yourself out there. You have to make yourself, push yourself to go to those people, to make those connections, not let that I'm an outsider, I'm an insider, I'm weird, or whatever mentality hold you back. And you get the opportunity to set your limit unless rocks are involved.
Yes, which unfortunately they were in terms of that split at the challenge. Is there a moment that exemplifies that for you, where you are really proud that you pushed yourself to make that connection?
I think a big one for me was on Siga. Like, we had this 4, and I said in one episode of, it's a game of Survivor. It's not dibs. Like, you can't just like take it and grab it. And like, not only making connections, but being able to retain them was really special. And even like coming back, I was really, really proud of like, oh, like, no, I fought for my position after that gem vote. And my fighting happened over 12 days because I was able to fight and make the case and say I deserve to be here so much that my name didn't even come up. So that to me really exemplifies the idea that like, you can't just sit back. Like, you need to go out and you need to take it and you need to fight and work for it, because that can be up to you.